Today is Friday, August 16th, and we're going to go around the bases with our MLB insider at the New York Post. He is none other than John Heyman. John, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing well. We're going to start off with some breaking news and some top story here with the Yankees and Jazz Chisholm. Obviously earlier this week, Jazz went down, sliding into home plate to score. His elbow gets hit. We find out he has a UCL injury. We don't know what the update is, but you have more information on what's going on with Jazz and how the Yankees are going to end up treating this injury.
Yeah, the Yankees received confirmation last night from the outside doctor, that rest and rehab is recommended. Jazz is feeling better, and the hope remains that he will be back this year. The original guess was 3 to 4 weeks. Don't want to put a timetable on it. I get it because it's very difficult to pinpoint, but no surgery recommended at this point, and hope that he will be back this year. So good news, and Yankee doctors got it right, and we're going to see if he can get back with rest and rehab, which would be great.
Yeah, definitely a tough blow for this Yankees team. Jazz was probably the prize acquisition at the trade deadline for this Yankees squad. He brought some athleticism, some speed, and obviously a little bit of power. I mean, he had 7 home runs since he was traded with the Yankees. Can you
Right.
just describe a little bit of what the impact that losing Jazz is going to be on this Yankees lineup?
Yeah, I mean, he had 7 home runs in 14 games, and he was outstanding at third base. It was like he was born to play there. So, Oswaldo Cabrera has been a fine fill-in. LeMahieu is a good veteran, but obviously is not hitting this year. He doesn't have 7 home runs for the year, not even close. So 7 home runs in 14 games. It's a blow in terms of the power, and it's a blow in terms of third base. I mean, Jazz is a great young athlete who's terrific at second base, fine in center, and it turns out very good at third. So while he's out, it certainly will be a loss, but the good news is he will be back this year. At least that is the prognosis at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, when you hear UCL, you get worried about Tommy John and
Right.
hearing that. But luckily, it sounds like that the Yankees and Jazz are going to avoid that and get him back soon because they're going to need him in that lineup, especially if they're going to make a push in the playoffs. Currently tied at the top of the AL East with the Baltimore Orioles. But John, also what happened this week is we saw Aaron Judge hit his 300th career home run, the fastest to ever do it in Major League Baseball history. And I think I would love to ask your opinion on this because the White Sox got heavily criticized for intentionally walking Juan Soto to pitch to Aaron Judge. And what does he do on a
I,
3-1
I
count?
I didn't think I'd ever see that. And you really have to intentionally walk Soto. I mean, he's going to walk anyway, most likely, right? Yeah, I don't know where that strategy came from. It's a little unusual. Obviously, have an interim manager, great guy, but he's probably not going to be the manager next year. Not because of this move, but yeah, that was unusual. Sometimes guys play a hunch. His hunch was that he was going to get Judge out. That was not a good hunch. He's amazing. I keep hearing it was the fastest. That's a little bit of a misnomer. He is 32 years old, right? There are guys who probably did it when they were 27 or 28 years old. But in terms of the games played, yes, because Judge went to college, got a little bit of a late start, and he has unfortunately had some injuries. But it's amazing to have done it more than 100 games quicker than the next quickest, which was Ralph Kiner. And I saw that we suggested could Aaron Judge break Bonds' lifetime record on the back page today, 762. I mean, that would be unbelievable when he is 32 years old.
Yeah.
But hey, the guy is amazing. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And I mean, the 224 OPS plus this year. I think OPS plus is really a great barometer of the season you're having. And, since integration and throwing out Barry Bonds, who we know how he did that. I mean, he was great to begin with, but we know how he beat the 224 OPS plus, and taking out I don't know what half years, but the strike shortened years and the pandemic shortened year. This is arguably the greatest season ever, 224 OPS plus, better than Mantle and Ted Williams, 221 OPS plus in 1957. That's before I was born. That's a long time ago. So, I mean, the guy is amazing. He's an amazing player. I never saw the day when somebody would intentionally walk the guy in front of him, no matter how hot or how good that guy is. And we'll talk a little bit more about Juan Soto in a bit. But, I mean, Judge is the best player in the game. He's the face of the game. And Judge and Soto combo is the reason the Yankees are tied for first as we do this.
I mean, you laid it out great there. I mean, it is arguably one of the greatest offensive seasons I've ever witnessed, and I think a lot of people have ever witnessed. I
Right.
mean, the stats are there. I keep calling it like a Lou Gehrig season, but he's even having a better season than Lou Gehrig puts together. It's crazy when you look
Yeah.
at the numbers and just the 300 and the fact that he did in so little games. And you're like, and you make a great point. He went to college, he came up late. It's like, man, could you imagine if this guy came up a little bit younger, what kind of career
I mean,
trajectory?
everybody's got a different trajectory. Everybody's got a different path. I mean, look at Mike Trout, who's
Yeah.
basically the same age. At age 21 and 22, Mike Trout was the best player in the world, right? And Aaron Judge was drafted, and then he was in the minors and striking out a lot. And his first year, he struck out 44% of the time, cameo appearance. The year before, he was Rookie of the Year and hit 52 home runs. Totally different path. I mean,
Yeah.
Judge has got how many years does he have now to go? I think 7 years on the
7 years
contract.
on the
And
9 year
I
deal. Yep.
think they're thankful about this contract. He's got Trout's got 6 years at 212 million. I mean, is he going to play again? I mean, I don't want to wish anything on anybody, but he had a meniscus injury, right? He tried to come
Yep.
back in 14 weeks. He played 2 innings, re-injured it sometime after that. They took an MRI right after the 2 innings, and he was fine, and then hurt himself in daily life with the meniscus. I feel terrible. I love Mike Trout. He's a great player, but he's basically, I think, a few months older than Judge, but totally different path.
Totally different. Yep.
Both on their way to the Hall of Fame. Both incredibly great hitters, players. Both have a lifetime OPS plus in the low 170s, which is right where Mickey Mantle is, which is pretty darn good. But it's a completely different career path.
100%. 100%. Every player is different in how they go about their career and how they, like you said, trajectories are different. But it's just amazing to watch Aaron Judge every single day. It's must watch TV. But let's talk about, again, what led to that 300th career home run for Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, right? So Soto's watched Judge intentionally walk now multiple times in the
Right.
past month. Now Soto gets intentionally walked. The respect is there. 4 home runs and 4 straight at bats in that White Sox series. The man is having arguably the best career walk year you can have besides Aaron Judge, who had 62 home runs in his walk year, right? But like, he's putting together just as good a season, but Aaron Judge is just having a little bit of better season. But the impending free agency, right, for Juan Soto, John, is what a lot of New Yorkers,
Right.
Yankees fans, all baseball fans is going to be paying attention to. But the guy is just putting together an incredible season. What more can you say about this
Amazing.
pending free agency?
Amazing. This is probably his second best season, the best season in that pandemic year. Right now, he's got a 192 OPS, plus he's doing it all. He's better defensively than the reputation was. And offensively, he's been amazing. Has he been better than Judge? Well, no, nobody. I mean, as he judges on another planet, but he's better than everybody else. And this is going to be the third year in a row. I mean, in normal years, it takes every 5 or 10 years, you expect to have a free agent who's got a potential to set the record for contract. This is 3 years in a row. We had Judge, we had Ohtani, and now we're going to have Soto. And I know some people are going to say, well, he's not Ohtani. Who is he? Pitches, whatever. And he's not Judge. Judge is maybe, an all-time great. Not that Soto's far behind, but the reality of it is he's 25 years old,
Right.
right? He's 4.5 years younger than Judge was when he was a free agent. And that plays big. It's not just the 4.5 years, it's the 4.5 best years, right?
Yeah.
From ages 26, right? 26 through 29 and a
Yeah.
half. So, this is the reason he's going to set the record. I took a poll, 13 baseball experts, and the range of guesses was 426.5 million, the Mike Trout contract, which was not even in free agency. So he's going to get way more than that. But that was the low guess. The high guess was 600. I mean, I think we're probably looking at the high end of that myself. We'll see. The age is that is a major, major factor. And he, just because someone's not Aaron Judge, he's this right now. He's second in everything, right? Second in slugging, second in on base, second in OPS. He does lead tied in walks, does lead in runs, which he's got Judge behind him, so that helps. But it's an amazing season at the right time, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. I gave odds on the teams, and the Yankees I have as even money, which I think they're the favorite because of the tradition, and certainly Judge helps, and the location, and the adulation he's getting this year. He seems to love that roll call. And I'm just guessing, but I think that would be everybody's guess at this point that the Yankees are the favorite, even if they don't have the high bid. They didn't have the high bid with Judge. He could have got more money from San Francisco and San Diego. I'm sure of that. And I do think the Mets are likely to have the high bid if they want to go for him, which they're my number 2 pick at 5-1 odds. And, the odds are he's going to end up in New York somewhere, right? I've got the list of 11 teams and I've got 9 other teams, but I think we're all going to be surprised, and I'm going to be surprised if he's not in New York. You never know in free agency. Did anyone think Alex Rodriguez was headed to the Texas Rangers when it started? No, right? The Mets were the favorite, and there were a ton of other teams that were mentioned and tried, and Texas blew everyone out of the water. So I feel that 70-1, maybe one of those team wins. That's probably the best bet I got there. I'm not that I'm taking bets or paying off, because I'm not.
I know you're not, but the thing, I think you made a great comparison in your column about where Juan Soto could potentially end up in the odds, right? You mentioned Yamamoto, 25 years old. That age is such a huge factor because you have a guy in his prime, like you said, from 25 to 29 or 30 years old. Those are 5 years you're getting in prime age. So you're willing to pay the premium on that. And you're going to extend it, obviously, in the amount of money and years. But Juan Soto is legitimately the second best hitter in baseball right now, you could argue. And I think, John, the New York factor, right? You say you think you would be surprised if he doesn't end up in New York. You mentioned all the great things about the Yankees, but the big thing is the money, right? They can afford him, but it's a matter of if Hal is going to be able to open his wallet and say, I'm going all in on Juan Soto because I know I can't separate Soto, Judge, 2-3 in that lineup. It's deadly.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I love Hal, but he is a businessman. He does look at the prices. He's gone out before, though. Let's not forget. He was the one who said, let's do it for Judge, right? I think there were people in his front office who weren't so sure if they should go for that $360 million. And he said, let's do it. And he paid that contract, which was a record for a free agent at that time. Will not stand up. Obviously, Ohtani beat it, no matter how you slice the Ohtani contract. But, I mean, he did pay for that. He did pay for Garrett Cole, which was a record for pitcher at the time. And I still consider it a record because he got $36 million a year over 9 years, which is a better deal than Yamamoto got. But you're absolutely right. Yamamoto, he'd never thrown a pitch in Major League Baseball, and they ended up paying him $325 plus the $50.6 million posting fee, so $375.6 million. I mean, Soto is putting up, in his early career, Ted Williams, Mel Ott, Jimmy Fox, all the greats in their ages 19 to 25 seasons, and he's right there with them. And left-handed power, and I actually think another stadium might actually be better for him because he goes to left center more than down the line in right field. So he might hit more somewhere else. But he does have the advantage of Judge behind him, and that might play in the Yankees' favor. And it's probably hard to leave the Yankees. I mean, it's hard certainly for Judge, homegrown Yankee, but I think even the 1 year it's been so positive. That's kind of why I make them a favorite. But again, I'm not taking bets, but I do think, you never know who's going to come out of the woodwork for a 25-year-old superstar.
Right. And there's a multitude of teams who could spend money on Soto. The pending free agency is something we're going to be talking about for a while here. And speaking of a potential suitor, the New York Mets, we know Steve Cohen obviously loves to invest in his team, but this team is, since we last talked Friday, John, it's been real to say the least. Got swept by the Mariners, lose the series to the A's. I mean, they blow that lead yesterday.
Terrible.
2 games behind in the NL wild card. What more can you say? What the heck is going on with this Mets team a week later?
I've been the most positive on them, and I'm not looking so great right now. Brutal. I mean, just brutal at home to the A's. To lose 2 out of 3, to have a 5-run lead, to blow that with all those walks. Their pitchers just walk too many batters. It's been going on all year, but to walk all these A's hitters, it's not like walking Juan Soto, right? They don't have Juan Soto. They have Rooker, who's a good hitter, but he was out with paternity leave. And, they're not the worst team. We know the White Sox are the worst team, but there's no excuse in this situation coming off a sweep at Seattle. And everyone's saying, oh, Seattle's good, the pitching blow. Seattle just got crushed by the Detroit Tigers.
Yep.
They're not that good. They were only aiming to win 54% of their games this year, and they're not even doing it, right? Their record's about like the Mets. Their pitching is very good. And it is tough to hit there. Certainly for a visiting player coming off a Coors Field, that trip, I get it. But, for Oakland, the Mets were well rested. They had a day off. They're back home. No excuses. Not good. All the walks, blown lead. And now they're losing again to the Braves. I talked to Brandon Nimmo about it, and he's like, we got to turn the table on the Braves. It's about time. And the Braves, they've lost everybody,
I
right?
know.
Everybody on their team is either having an off season, other than Ozuna, or injured, right? Or has been injured. And they lost their best player, Acuna, for the year. They lost their best pitcher, Strider, for the year. Although Fried's pretty good, although he's been injured too at times.
Yep.
Lopez has been out, and Riley and Olsen are not playing like they did last year. This is not the year the Braves should be beating out the Mets. And this is it. It basically come down to the Braves again, because the Diamondbacks and the Padres are frankly playing too well. They're going to be in. Those other teams are not good. They're all below 500. So the Mets need to get going and beat the Braves. That's the game.
Yeah, it's they start the series against the Marlins this weekend. Hopefully they can take 2 out of 3, hopefully sweep. I mean, try and get back in this wild card race, because it seems to be slipping away a little bit. And that's tough to see for Mets fans, because they were having a nice month and a half year stretch. All right, John, let's bring this all home. Your most disappointing team of the week. Who is it?
I don't know. They might have been my most disappointing last week, but since I don't remember, I don't think anyone else is going to remember. It's the Pirates. They haven't won a game all week, and it goes back further than that, and they're terrible. And at the deadline, they got Brian De La Cruz, who's doing nothing for them. I think he's got the same slugging percentage as batting average, well under 200. That's a bad sign. They brought in IKF also, but they never go for it. They have Skeens. They got good pitching. They look like they could be a threat if they get in the playoffs with that rotation, and they're not getting in. They're now likely to finish last in a division where 4 teams are under 500. They're bad. I'm a little disappointed in the Rangers, too. I kept saying forever that, they got Scherzer and DeGrom and Malley and Carter and all these guys coming back in the second half. Watch out. I mean, they played their way out of it at this point. They're like, 8 or 9 games out in the wild, or 10 games out in the wild
10
card.
10 and a half games entering
10
today.
and a half. I mean, it keeps going up. I mean, as we have this conversation, it's now up to 10 and a half. So they're my second choice. I got a lot of disappointing teams this week, but those are my 2. And look, the Mets didn't make it, so that'll tell you how bad those other teams are.
Yeah, well, Mets can still hopefully try and grab a playoff spot, but yeah, the Rangers and Pirates lost 10 games in a row. Rough stretch, to say the least, for that team. John, we thank you as always.
They were buyers. They were buyers. You can't be.
I know.
You can't 10 games in a row, but they're shopping at the Kmart. No offense to people. I've gone to Kmart, but they're not going out here to Fifth Avenue. They're not going to Tiffany. They didn't go to, what is it, Hermes or Hermes? I don't know. I don't shop there myself, but they're not going to these fancy places. They're shopping at Target at best, and I go to Target all the time. But
I love Target too.
Target's great, but
Target's great.
This is the story of the Pirates. They're Target shoppers.
And the Rangers didn't sell as much as you would have expected them to. Considering
they were listening to me. I kept saying they got all these great players coming back. They're in the race. They're the defending champion. They can't give up now. They should have given up. They're just not very good this year. Hey, it's hard to repeat. That's the one thing we always forget year after year. They won last year, and it wasn't like it was a dynasty Yankee team winning. It was a team that was a wild card team that nobody expected to win, where they won 11 games on the road in the playoffs, something like that, 11-0. I don't want to say it's a fluke. They did it. Congratulations, Mazel Tov, whatever you want to say. It was amazing, but they're not very good this year.
No, and the Diamondbacks are hot again. Look out. John, thank you as always for going around the bases with us, man. We're looking forward to talking to you again next week. All about it.
All right, Ryan. Good talking to you. See you later.